A pleasant morning to everyone. This time we'll be discussing the third unit of our course, which is the lower grade mathematics curriculum with problem solving. But before that, let us just take a look into these two kinds of numbers, the pi and the imaginary number. The pi is telling the imaginary number to get real, and the imaginary number is telling the pi to be rational. Tayo mga teachers, we have to be real and we have to be rational most of the time to all of our students so that they will learn something good from us. And through that, magiging mas maganda yung ating relasyon sa ating mga estudyante. At kapag maganda yung relasyon natin sa ating mga estudyante, most especially in teaching mathematics, then magiging mas marami or magiging mas makabuluhan yung kanilang pagkatuto ng mathematics. So let's start with the first topic in this unit. By the way, this unit is divided into two. I actually intended to divide it into two because we will be dealing with the content of mathematics in the lower grade in this discussion. So the first content is the real number system. So let us fill in the blank in here to determine whether you already know something about the real number system, because from elementary to high school up to college, itinuturo sa atin ang real number system. And real number system is very important. Okay, the natural numbers are the counting numbers without. The answer is 0. So pag sinabi nating natural numbers, ito ay ang mga counting numbers na hindi kasali si 0. Okay? Don't you worry because we'll be giving examples and we'll be discussing it later. Whole numbers include the natural numbers and 0. Okay? So nagsimula tayo doon sa counting numbers lang. By the way, nung bata tayo, tinuruan naman talaga tayo magbilang. Nagsimula tayo sa 1, 2, 3. Di naman tayo tinuruan na magbilang mula sa 0. We started actually with 1 pag tayo ay nagbibilang. Kaya yun yung natural numbers natin. Yun yung ating counting numbers. Natural numbers and counting numbers are the same. And then here comes the concept of 0. Pumasok na si 0, kaya nagkaroon na tayo ng whole numbers. So kapag kasama na si whole numbers, siya ay kapag kasama na si 0, then that is already a whole number, the set of whole numbers. And take note na lahat ng natural numbers ay whole numbers din. Okay? And then, integers include all whole numbers and their opposites. So, paano kung may mas mababa pa pala doon sa 0, and those are the negative numbers or the negative integers. So, yung positive 1 na binibilang natin, meron siyang opposite which is negative 1. And then, si positive 2, meron siyang opposite na negative 2. And the middle of the set of all integers is always 0. Kaya nga kapag tinatanong what is the sign of 0, is it a positive or a negative? The answer is 0 is neutral, wala siyang sign. It is neither positive nor negative. Rational numbers are real numbers that can be written as blank, where a and b are integers and b is not equal to 0. Any rational number can be represented as a terminating or a repeating. So the answer here is fraction, a or b. So paano kapag may fraction na tayo? So rational number na ang tawag natin doon. Okay? So repeating blank, decimal. Okay, so yung fraction, it can be expressed in decimal. And take note of these two conditions. Rational number lang siya kapag terminating or repeating decimal. So ibig sabihin, kapag hindi siya terminating, hindi siya repeating decimal, then that is not a rational number. So a rational number must confer with these two conditions, terminating or repeating. Okay? So, kapag hindi siya terminating at hindi siya repeating, siya ay irrational number. So, irrational numbers are any real numbers that are not rational. Okay. So, this is actually the diagram for the real number system. As we can see, all of these are real numbers. All these are real numbers, whether rational or irrational. Lahat sila ay real numbers. And then, meaning, under lang sila ng isang umbrella. So, nagsimula tayo sa natural numbers. Natural numbers or counting numbers, those are the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, all the positive numbers or the positive integers. And then, pumasok yung konsepto ng zero, kaya nagkaroon tayo ng whole numbers. And then, pumasok yung konsepto ng mas mababa pa sa zero, kaya nagkaroon tayo ng negative numbers at tinawag nating integers. And then, nagkaroon tayo ng fraction which can be expressed in decimal. Kapag ang decimal ay repeating and terminating, yan ay rational numbers. Kapag naman non-terminating and non-repeating, those are irrational numbers. But all of these numbers are real numbers. Okay? So the question is, are natural numbers rational? Yes or no? The answer is yes. Next question, are all integers natural numbers? The answer is no, because in integers we have negative numbers and zero. So for it to be natural numbers, dapat walang zero at walang negative. But all natural numbers are integers. All whole numbers are integers. Okay. So these are samples of natural numbers or counting numbers. 1, 2, 3, up to infinity. And then whole numbers, take note that natural numbers are also whole numbers. They are included here. Nadagdag lang ang zero. Then integers, addition to the natural numbers and whole numbers are the negative numbers. And then rational numbers are numbers that can be expressed as a fraction of two integers, where it can be expressed as A over B, and B must not be equal to 0. Why? Why B must not be equal to 0? Because if B is equal to 0, then that fraction or that expression is undefined, and undefined is not a real number. And then, if the fraction that can be expressed into decimal are non-repeating and non-terminating, then those numbers are irrational numbers that cannot be represented as a fraction of two integers already. So let us take a look into this. Let us take what type of numbers are in the bottom part of this slide. Negative 7 is an example of integers. Pwede rin nating sabihin na siya ay rational number because negative 7 can be expressed as negative 7 over 1. So that means that all integers are also rational numbers. 5 over 12, rational or not? So let us divide 5 over 12 using our calculator. If we get an answer of terminating and repeating, then that is a rational number. But if it is a non-repeating and non-terminating, then 5 over 12 will be an irrational number. If we divide 5 over 12, the answer is 0.4166666 and so on. So that means that 6 is being repeated into this expression. So that means that 5 over 12 is an example of rational numbers. How about the square root of 36? Square root of 36, when you simplify, that is 6. So 6 is a natural number and also a whole number and an integer and a rational number. How about 0.25? 0.25 can be expressed as 1 over 4. So that is a rational number. How about pi? Pi is be expressed as 3.1416 and so on. So that means pi is non-terminating and non-repeating. So pi is an example of irrational number. How about 2 and 1/3? 2 and 1/3 can be expressed as 7 over 3. So that means that 2 and 1/3 is a rational number. How about negative 11 over 13? Let us divide 11 by 13. So the answer is non-terminating and non-repeating. So this is an irrational number. How about negative 9.1732? As you can see, we end with 2. So it can be expressed as a fraction of 2 integers. So that's a rational number. Square root of 3. Square root of 3 is non-terminating and non-repeating. So that's an irrational number. How about 0? 0 is a whole number, an integer, and a rational number. So 1.237 with bar on top of 3 and 7. So that means the 3 and 7 here are being repeated. Being repeated infinitely. So 1.237, 37, 37, 37, and so on. So this is a repeating decimal. So that is an example of rational number. 0.1269278. As you can see, we do not have pattern here with 3 dots, which means infinity. So this is an example of irrational number. And those are the properties of the different types of number under the real number system. Okay, so we move on to the whole numbers operations and properties. So we have 4 basic operations in mathematics, and those are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. How do we learn addition in our primary grades? I still remember when I was in grade 1, our mathematics teacher, our grade 1 teacher asked us to bring pieces of straw, pieces of stones, matchsticks, popsicle sticks, and whatsoever. And then, pinapagawa niya sa amin, for example, if there is a problem, 3 plus 4, kuha kami ng 3 popsicle sticks, kuha kami ng 4 na rubber band, pagsamahin, bilangin lahat. So 3 plus 4, mabibilang namin ay 7. So that is how we started learning addition in the primary level. Yung subtraction naman, ganun din. Meron kami mga bagay na hawak-hawak because maybe our teacher during that time believed that we are manipulatives. Mas natututo kami kung meron kaming hinahawakan, meron kaming minamanipulate na mga bagay, no? Because that is really the nature of the young children. Kapag meron silang hinahawakan, mas natututo sila, hindi yung basta na lang nila pinakikinggan, pinanonood. So mas maganda yung sila mismo ang nagsosolve, sila mismo ang nagbibilang. Okay? Sa multiplication, ang natatandaan ko talaga meron pa kaming tono sa pag-memorize ng multiplication table. Do you still remember that? Na memorize natin ang multiplication table from 1 to 20. Yung may tono pa tayong 1 times 1 equals 1. Something like that. Because that's an effective way of learning how to multiply. Because if you memorize it already, kahit na pagbalik-balik ka rin, it's already in your mind. So, that's how we learn multiplication in the first hand. And then for division, by the way, sa multiplication, yung repeated addition, di ba? Halimbawa, 3 times 4. So, ibig sabihin, meron kang 4 na 3. Kuha kami ng 4 na 3 na bato, tapos i-add namin lahat yon, yung mga bato na yon. So, we'll be having 12. So, that's repeated addition, yung application of the multiplication process. And then the division, ito talaga, sikat na sikat yung pizza na hinahati, di ba? Dati sa division, when we were in elementary, merong pizza si ma'am na pinakita sa atin, hinati-hati niya yun. O, tigi-ilan. Meron tayong pizza na mayroong 12 hati. 3 bata ang bibigyan. Tigi-ilan silang slices. Okay, something like that. O kaya naman isang basket ng bayabas. Meron tayong isang basket ng bayabas na mayroong lamang 50 at ang maghahati ay 10. Tigi-ilang bayabas ang mga mag-aaral. Something like that, no? So that is how we learn mathematics in the primary grade. So kayo bilang mga future teachers, you may adopt the strategy that were being applied by your teachers, by your previous mathematics teachers nung kayo ay elementary pa lamang. And also, dahil nag-a-advance ang ating technology, nag-a-advance ang ating world, hindi naman pwedeng maiiwan na lang tayo doon sa mga ganong pagkakataon. Kailangan meron pa rin tayo mga innovations na ginagawa in teaching mathematics so that yung interest ng ating mga estudyante ay hindi mawawala. Okay? So, whole numbers, operations, and properties. So, number 1 is the non-standard units and number 2 is the standard units. So, meron tayo noon, naaalala nyo, elementary tayo, yung mga non-standard units. Ito yung, halimbawa, pinasukat sa atin ang length ng corridor, pero hindi tayo gagamit ng mga measuring device. Hindi tayo gagamit ng ruler. So, ang gagamitin lang natin yung mga dangkal natin, yung paa natin. So, mga non-standard units yun, yung mga panukat nung araw, nung mga panahon nung mga wala pang masyadong devices, no? So, pwede naman yun. Pero, take note that non-standard units are not that accepted, lalo na ngayon, hindi na ganyan kadali. Hindi katulad dati na pag sinukat ang lupain, ay ganun lang. Gagamit lang tayo ng mga tali, gagamit lang tayo ng mga hakbang. O sa akin yung lupa na yan na 10 hakbang mula dito. Hindi ganon. Ngayon, medyo technical na tayo. Gumagamit na tayo ng standard units. So, ano ay yung mga standard units? Gumagamit na tayo ng iba't ibang mga device para ma-measure ang ating mga dapat i-measure. Okay? So, that's the difference of standard and non-standard units. Okay, so talking about the measurements, area and perimeter, now gagamitin natin dito lahat ay standard units. So ano ba ang area and perimeter? Let's talk about the area. So area is the amount of surface space that a flat object has. For example, yung floor natin sa bahay, pag sinukat mo yon, yung buong floor, that is the area. Pero kapag yung gilid lang ang sinukat mo, that is the perimeter. Okay? So, yung area muna ang sukatin natin. Area is reported in the amount of square units. Okay? So, the measurement of area is always in the square units. Kung ang ginamit nating measurement ay meters, then the area should always be square meters. Kung inches, then the area is square inches. So kapag ang length at saka ang width na ginamit natin ay in the form of centimeters, then the area should be in square centimeters. Okay. When you measure the amount of carpet to cover the floor of a room, you measure it in square units. Kung wala namang binigay na unit, so gamitin na lang natin yung unit. Okay? So your area should be square units. Would the area of your bedroom or the area of your house be greater? Paano natin malalaman yan? Let's find the area of this surface. If each square is equal to 1 foot, count the number of squares. So suppose that the each square, so the side of the square is equal to 1 foot. So let us solve for the area of this figure. So how many squares do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So we have 15 squares, small squares. So the area of this is 15 square foot. Okay, or square feet. Another. Count the number of green squares to determine the area of this surface. What is the area? There you go. So we have how many squares? 1, 2, 9. So the area would be 9 square units. Okay, so that is how we solve for the area. And since these are primary grade level students, we will not be letting them solve hard problems when it comes to area. But we can introduce already the different formulas in solving the area. For example, the area of a triangle, you can already introduce to them the formula. For example, the area of the square, which is A equals S times S, or side times side. The area of a rectangle, which is length times width. The area of a triangle, which is base times height divided by 2. The area of a pentagon. The area of the different plane figures. The area of a circle. Pwede na naman natin yan i-introduce sa kanila. But for the meantime, let us help them really understand first the concept of what area is all about and how area is being solved. Perimeter. As I have mentioned earlier, perimeter, ito yung gilid lang ng mga objects natin. Ano? So this is the outside edge. Okay, the distance around the outside edge of a flat object. So perimeter is reported as a total number of linear units. Meaning, kung sa area kanina meron tayong square, dito wala na tayong square. Kung inches ang length ng or dimension ng isang figure, inches din ang perimeter natin. Kung siya ay centimeter ang kanyang mga dimensions, then centimeters din ang ating magiging perimeter. When you measure the amount of wallpaper border to go around the room, you measure it in lengths. Would the perimeter of your bedroom or the perimeter of your house be greater? That's the question. Okay, let's find the perimeter of this surface if each square is equal to 1 foot. Count the number of sides. Okay, so we count the number of sides. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. So our perimeter is 24 feet. So ang mineasure lang natin ay yung outside edge ng ating figure. So let us try this one. Count the number of sides to determine the perimeter of this flat object. So we have here the flat object. Let's count the number of sides. So we start from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So our perimeter is 12 units. Okay, 2 neighbors build swimming pools. This is what the pools look like. So that's the swimming pool of family A, and this is the swimming pool of family B. So ganyan yung naging itsura ng kanilang swimming pool, maybe because of the availability of their lot surface. The question is, which family has the pool with the bigger swimming area? So we solve for the area of these 2 pools. So we count the number of squares. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for family A. And then for family B, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So obviously, ang family na mayroong mas malaking swimming area ay ang family A. So family A has the pool with the bigger swimming area because the area of family A's swimming pool is 8 and the area of the family B's swimming area or swimming pool is just 7 square units. So mas malaki yung kay family A. Now, look at those same two pools. Which family has more side panels of the pool to clean? So, kay Nino daw yung may mas malaking side panels ng pool na kailangang linisin. So, let us count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 for family A. So, 12 units long. Yun yung lilinisin nila. For family B, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So, kay family B, 14 units long ang kanilang lilinisin. So, therefore, family B has more side panels of the pool to clean. And another way of introducing this to your student, pwedeng sabihin nyo, kay Ninong swimming pool ang mas maraming magagastos kapag binakuran. Okay, halimbawa magkasing taas lang yung bakod nila, magkamukha ng materials. So kay Ninong pool ang mas mangangailangan ng mas maraming bakod. Kasi yun naman yung perimeter, no? Sometimes we use the fence para magbigay ng example when it comes to perimeter. So, mas maraming magagastos yung kay family B. Though mas maliit yung kanyang area, pero mas malaki naman yung kanyang perimeter because of the situation, yung pagkakaayos ng kanilang mga pools. So, mas matipid yung kay family A sa bakod. Mas madali ding linisin yung kay family A kasi mas konti yung edge niya o yung side panels niya kaysa dun sa swimming pool ni family B kasi mas marami yung kanyang side panels. Okay, so this time, let's talk about surface area. We are already done with the perimeter and area. This time, let's talk about surface area. When we say surface area, ito yung total area of the surfaces of a three-dimensional object. By the way, ang three-dimensional objects, these are the solids. Okay, so we have different types of solids. The first one is the prism. When we say prism, it is a solid object that has two identical ends and all flat sides. Examples of prisms are the backs of your shoes, the shoe boxes that we have. Ang kanyang bases ay pwedeng rectangle, magkamukha yun yung nasa taas at saka nasa baba. So, lagi yan identical, magkamukha, no? Another example of prism ay ang Toblerone. Toblerone is an example of a triangular prism where the base, the two identical bases are triangles. So, those are prisms. We'll start with two prisms, a rectangular prism and a triangular prism. Okay. So, rectangular prism, this is an example of a rectangular prism. Halimbawa ay bahay siya, no? So, we have the floor and the roof. These are the bases, no? The floor and the roof. Meaning, yung floor at saka yung roof ay magkamukha. Okay? And then, the walls. So, yun yung kanyang mga lateral surfaces. Pag sinabi nating lateral surfaces, ito yung surfaces na hindi kasama yung mga bases. Pero pag sinabi nating surfaces, in general kasi yun, ano? In general. So, in this rectangular prism, how many surfaces do we have? We have 4 sa gilid, saka 2 sa taas at baba. So, you have 6 surfaces here. Meaning, to get the surface area of this rectangular prism, kuhanin natin lahat ng area ng lahat ng surfaces na yon at saka natin siya i-add to get the surface area of our rectangular prism. How about in a triangular prism? In a triangular prism, suppose that it's a floor and it's a roof. Ayan. And then this is a straight line. Okay? So the bases here are two triangles. Toblerone talaga yung itsura niya, no? So Toblerone is an example of triangular prism. So in this case, how many surfaces do we have in a triangular prism? So we have 1 and 2 for the two bases, the two triangles, so the roof and the floor, so dalawa na agad yon. And then we have 3 rectangles on the sides. So all in all, we have 5 surfaces in a triangular prism. So 5 lang ang i-add natin, 5 lang ang kukuhanan natin ng area. Then we add all those areas para makuha natin ang surface area of the triangular prism. Okay. So surface area of a rectangular prism. Yan, surface area. So like dice, there are 6 sides or 3 pairs of sides. Pag sinabi nating dice, lahat ng surfaces nun ay magkakamukha. Okay. So this is the first surface, the top, and then we have the front, the left, the bottom, the back, and then the right. So all in all, we have 6, and we have 3 pairs. Prism net unfolded. So pag halimbawa meron tayong prism net at in-unfold natin yon, ganito ang magiging itsura niya, no? So ito yung pinakababa, ito yung base 1 natin, and this is our base 2. Okay? Tapos ito naman yung magkatapat na side, yung nasa front, yung nasa back, then ito yung nasa sides, 2 sides. So rectangular prism. Pag in-unfold. Okay. So add the area of all 6 sides to find the surface area. Okay, so in this case, this is a rectangular prism. Kunin muna natin yung area ng lahat ng surfaces. So surface area would be 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. Kasi dala-dalawang pares tayo, ano? So ito, yung baba, ang kapares niya yung nasa taas, yung front, ang kapares niya yung nasa back, yung right, ang pair niya ay yung nasa left. So that's the reason why using this height, width, and length, we can solve already for the surface area of this rectangular prism. So upon solving this, we'll be having 2 times the quantity of 10 times 5 because length times width is 10 times 5 para to sa top and bottom. And then plus 2 times the quantity of 10 times 6. Ito naman yung para sa front and back. And then plus 2 times the quantity of 5 times 6. Ito naman yung nasa right and left. And then simplifying it further, 10 times 5 is 50, 10 times 6 is 60, 5 times 6 is 30. You multiply all of those by 2, so 2 times 50 is 100, 2 times 60 is 120, then 2 times 30 is 60. Then you add all these 3, 100 plus 120 plus 60, so you will be having 200 units squared or square units. So that is the surface area of this rectangular prism. Let's have a practice. If you want to solve it on your own, please pause this video and solve it in your own. And then just continue and play it again to check your answer. Alright. So solving this, we have the formula. Surface area is equal to 2 times length times width plus 2 times length times height plus 2 times width times height. So that's the formula in solving for the surface area of a rectangular prism. And then we substitute our values here. Our length is 22 and our width is 10 and our height is 12 feet. So we will have 2 times the quantity of 22 times 10 plus 2 times the quantity of 22 times 12 plus 2 times the quantity of 10 times 12. And then simplifying it further, we'll have 22 times 10 is 220. And then we multiply 22 times 12. That is equal to 264. Then 10 times 12 is 120. We multiply all those 3 by 2. So we will have 440 plus 528 plus 240. And simplifying that further, our surface area is equal to 1,208 square. We move on to the surface area of a rectangular prism. So in this case, we have two bases, and the bases are triangles. So that is the reason why it's very important that when you discuss perimeter and area of plane figures, you already introduce to them the different formulas. Why? Because those formulas will be used in solving surface area and volumes of solid figures. So we apply the formula of area in solving volume, surface area, and of the solids. So we have two bases here, two triangular bases. This is the first base and the second base is right there. And then we have three sides which are rectangular. One at the right, at the left, and at the bottom. If we unfold the triangular prism, so this will look like as this. Two area of triangle plus area of rectangle. So that is how we solve for the surface area of a triangle. Surface area is equal to area of triangles. We solve first for the area of triangle. So you will have 12 times 15 divided by 2. The answer is, if we multiply 12 by 15, the answer is 180. Divide that by 2, so you will have 90. So we have two triangles, so you have 90 plus 90. And then area of the three rectangles. So we have here one rectangle at the bottom. 25 times 12 is equal to 300. So there is 300. And then 20 times 25 is equal to 500. And those two rectangles are congruent, so we have 500 plus 500. So the surface area, so that is how we solve for the area of the two plane figures. The area of triangles and area of rectangle 1 and area of rectangle 2. Okay. So we will have surface area which is equal to 1,480 square feet. Okay, so this time let us have a practice. Another example. So first, we solve for the area of the two triangles, the bases, and our area is 28 centimeters using our given. Our base is 8 and our height is 7 centimeters. So we substitute. Area of the triangle now is 28, and these two triangles are congruent. The first rectangle, the rectangle with 10 by 8 dimensions. So you will have 10 by 8. Yon, yung triangle na nasa baba. Okay, so we will have 10 times 8 is 80 centimeters. Then rectangle 2. Yan, yung dalawa na nasa side. Okay, so we will have 9 times 10. Yan, the two triangles, 9 times 10, the two congruent triangles. Then you will have to sum up the areas of all these plane figures to get the surface area of this triangular prism. So you will have 28 plus 28 plus 80 plus 90 plus 90. The surface area now is 300 square centimeters. Okay. So that is how we solve for the surface area of the rectangular prism and the triangular prism. This time, let us have another type of solid, which is a cylinder. Actually, this is also a, it looks like a prism because the bases are two congruent circles. But it's a special one because it doesn't have dimensions at the back, at the side. Surface area is like the amount of paper you'll need to wrap the shape. Yun yung kailangan nating amount ng papel para maibalot natin yung buong solid figure. Yun yung surface area. You have to take apart the shape and figure the area of the part. So para makuha natin yung surface area. Then add them together for the surface area or SA. So these are the parts of a cylinder. A cylinder has two main parts, a rectangle and a circle. So the two circles obviously are the two bases, and then the rectangle one is the side of the cylinder. Put them together and they will make a cylinder. So example of cylinder is the soup can or yung mga sardinas natin sa bahay. So yung mga lalagyan ng sardinas natin sa bahay, those are samples of cylinders. You have the top and bottom lid, yan, yung nasa taas saka nasa baba, and you have the label rectangle wrapped around the can. Yan yon, yung gilid. The lids and the label are related. The circumference of the lid is the same as the length of the label. Okay, so pag kinuha natin yung circumference nung circle na ito, yun ay kasing haba din nung length ng gilid nito kapag siya ay in-unfold natin. Okay. So area of the circles, again, the formula is pi r squared, where pi is equal to 3.14. We assume that pi is 3.14, okay, para hindi tayo mahirapan. So times r, and r stands for the radius. So the radius is a part of the circle, a line segment from the center of the circle up to any point of the circle, and all the radii of the circle are congruent. So solving the area of this circle, as r is equal to 3, so we will have pi, which is 3.14 times 3 squared. That is 3.14 times 9, because 3 squared is equal to 9. We multiply 3.14 times 9, so the area is 28.26 square units. But there are two of them. So 28.26 times 2 equals 56.52 square units. So we multiply it by 2 because we have two circles here. The rectangle, this has two steps. To find the area, we need base and height. Height is already given, which is 6, but the base is not as easy. Notice that the base is the same as the distance around the circle or the circumference. So we have to solve for the circumference to get the dimension of our rectangle. So 3.14 times the diameter. But the given here is the radius. So to get the diameter, we multiply the radius by 2, and that is equal to 6. So 3.14 times 6 is equal to 3.14 times 6 is equal to 18.84. So that is now our circumference. We can now use 18.84 as a dimension of our rectangle. So 18.84 times 6, which is the height of the cylinder. So we will be having an area of 113.04. Excuse me. So that is already the area of our rectangle. Yung pinaka-side ng ating cylinder. Isa lang yun. Now, we add the area of the two circles plus the area of our rectangle to get the surface area. So the total surface area is 169.56. Here's now the surface area formula for the cylinder. Surface area is equal to pi d times height plus 2 times the quantity of pi r squared. Let us have a practice. Once again, if you want to compute it on your own, just post this video and just continue playing if you want to check. Be sure you know the difference between a radius and diameter. So the difference is that a radius is just 1/2 of the diameter, and the diameter is twice the radius. Ibig sabihin, para makuha mo ang diameter given the radius, i-multiply mo lang sa 2 yung radius. Para makuha mo naman yung radius given the diameter, i-divide mo lang sa 2 yung diameter. So given the cylinder with given diameter 22 centimeters and the height which is 14 centimeters, we solve for the surface area using our formula. So the formula is the quantity of pi d times height plus 2 times pi r squared. So by substitution, we will be having 3.14 times 22 times 14 plus 2 times 3.14 times 11 squared. So nanggaling si 11. That is 1/2 of 22. Then simplifying further, we'll have 367.12 plus 2 times the quantity of 3.14 times 1 to 1. And then you will have this 367.12 plus 2 times 379.94. And then simplifying further, you will have the surface area of 1,127 square centimeters of a pyramid. A pyramid is another type of solid figure that we have, a special type of solid with only one base. So a pyramid has two shapes. One is the square and 4 triangles. So this is true if the pyramid is a square pyramid. So there are instances that our base is changing. Sometimes it's a triangle, sometimes it's pentagon, or whatever plane figure it may be. So but in this case, since this is a square pyramid, we have 1 square and 4 triangles on the side. Since you know how to find the areas of those shapes and add them, or you can use a formula. Surface area is equal to 1/2 of slant height times P plus area of the base, where L is the slant height and P is the perimeter and D is the area of the base. So, slant height, mula siya doon sa vertex hanggang doon sa side ng base. Slant height yon. Iba pa yung height. Yung height is a line from the vertex up to the center of the base, which is perpendicular to one another. But in solving for the surface area, we'll be using the slant height kasi yung slant height, nasa labas yan ng solid figure. So that is our formula. SA equals 1/2 of the slant height times the perimeter plus the area of the base. So using this pyramid, let us have the perimeter. Perimeter is equal to 2 times 7 plus 2 times 6 equals 26. And then slant height from the given is equal to 8. Then using the formula in solving for the surface area is equal to 1/2 of the slant height times P plus area of the base. So we will have 1/2 of the slant height, which is 8. Then our perimeter, the first one that we solved earlier, which is 26. So paano nakuha yung perimeter? Perimeter of the rectangle. So we have 2 times 7. Ayun yun, 2 times 7 because we have 2 sides na mayroong dalawang 7 na measurement. And then we have 2 sides na ang measurement ay 6. So 2 times 7 is 14, 2 times 6 is 12, 14 plus 12 is 26. Kinuha natin yung perimeter ng ating base, rectangle yon. And then 7 times 6 is the area of the triangle. So we will have 1/2 of 208, 8 times 26, 208 plus 42. And then simplifying it further, we will have 104 plus 42. And the surface area is now equal to 146 square units. After knowing the different formulas in finding the surface area of the solids, this time, let us discuss how to solve for the volumes of solids. So these are examples of the solid figures that we have in mathematics and in reality. So we have here a rectangular prism. Here we have a cylinder, another rectangular prism, and a cone. But by the way, what is volume? Ano nga ba ang volume? The volume of a solid is the amount of space inside the solid. Ito yung kakayahan ng isang solid figure na makapaglagay sa loob niya ng liquid or something solid na pwedeng ilagay o makapuno sa isang solid figure. Like for example, yung ating mga timba. Gaano karaming tubig ang kayang i-hold ng isang timba? Yun ay ang volume. So consider the cylinder below. If we were to fill the cylinder with water, the volume would be the amount of water the cylinder could hold. Yon. So that's the volume. Measuring volume. Volume is measured in cubic centimeters, also called centimeter cube. So kung kanina doon sa surface area, ang ating unit is always in square. Sa volume, it is always in cube. Here is a cubic centimeter. So it is a cube which measures 1 centimeter in all directions. Meaning, this is 1 centimeter, this is 1 centimeter, and this is also 1 centimeter. So this is a cube with a measure or with a dimension of 1 centimeter. We will now see how to calculate the volume of various shapes. So volumes of cuboids. Look at the cuboid below. So cuboids are also prisms. So another term for prisms is cuboid. So suppose that we have here a rectangular prism with length 10 centimeters, width 3 centimeters, and height 4 centimeters. How can we solve for the volume of this rectangular prism? So we must first calculate the area of the base of the cuboid. So in this case, in a rectangular prism like this, our bases are the top and the bottom part, a rectangular part at the bottom and a rectangular part at the top of the prism. So we have to first calculate the measurement of the area of our base. Since these two bases are just congruent, so we just choose one. So let's solve for the area. And to find the area of a rectangle, the formula is A equals length times width. So in this case, we multiply 10 by 3 centimeters. So the area is equal to 30 square centimeters. So that is already the area of our base, the base of the prism. We now know that we can place 30 centimeter squares on the base of the cuboid, but we can also place 30 cubic centimeters on the base. So suppose that we have here the given prism. So there you go, the 30 square centimeters, yung 30 cubes na meron tayo kasi that is the area of our base. So continuing, we have now got to find how many layers of 1 centimeter cubes we place in the cuboid. So upon observation, nung inilagay natin ito dito, so 30 yan, lahat yan ay 30. Kapag nagpatong pa tayo ng isa, so magiging 60. And the capacity of this rectangular prism or this cuboid is that 4 na layers ang kaya niyang i-hold. So 30 times 4, that is our volume. So the volume of this rectangular prism would be, there you go, 4 layers of 30 cubic square centimeters. So volume is now 30 times 40, which is equivalent to 120 cubic centimeters, because we have here 30 square centimeters times 4 centimeters. So the unit would be cubic centimeters, and 30 times 4 equals 120. So that means that we can place 120 of our cubes measuring a centimeter in all directions inside this rectangular prism. So we have found that the volume of the cuboid is given by volume equals 10 times 3 times 4. So this gives us our formula for the volume of cuboid, which is length times width or breadth times height. Or V is equal to LDH. Or in some other references, we use V is equal to L times W times H. Or sometimes it's area of the base times the height. So what goes in the box? Calculate the volumes of the cuboids below. Number 1. Yeah, number 1 we have 14 by 5 by 7. So we just multiply this 3. So we will be having 14 times 5 is equal to 0 carry 2, 70 times 7 is equal to 490 cubic centimeters. For number 2, we have here 3.4 times 3.4 times 3.4. So that is 39.3 cubic centimeters. And then for the last one, we have 8.9 meters times 2.7 meters times 3.2 meters, which is equal to 76.9 cubic centimeters. In solving for the volume of a rectangular prism or of a cuboid, it's very easy. You just need to have a basic knowledge on multiplication. That is the reason why if ever that you are going to teach this type of content to your primary grade students, then you have to let them understand what volume is all about. And volume is all about the amount of anything that we can put inside a certain solid. So the cross-sectional area. When we calculated the volume of the cuboid, like for example, we have this rectangular prism with length of 10 centimeters, a width of 3 centimeters, and a height of 4 centimeters. We found the area of the base. So again, we move back to the formula in solving for the area of a rectangle, and area is always equal to length times the width. In this kind of problem, or in this problem, we have 10 centimeters as our length and 3 centimeters as our width. So to calculate the area of this rectangle, we simply multiply 10 by 3. So we will be having 30 square centimeters, which is the base of our prism or cuboid. The cross-section is the shape that is repeated throughout the volume. We then calculated how many layers of cross-section make up the volume. Okay, so this is the first cross-sectional area. And then the second cross-sectional area. And we know that each cross-sectional area is composed of 30 different cubes of 1 centimeter with 1 centimeter of all directions. So we have 3, 4. So we have 4 layers or 4 cross-sectional areas. This gives us the formula for calculating other volumes. Volume is equal to cross-sectional area times the length. For the solids below, identify the cross-sectional area required for calculating the volume. Okay, so this is a cylinder. So, of course, a cylinder with base circle. And this is an example of a triangular prism, a right angle triangle. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a pentagonal prism. And then this is a combination of 2 solids, a rectangle and semicircle. So this is a rectangular prism with 1/2 of the cylinder, a combination of 2 solids. So the volume of a cylinder. Consider the cylinder below. As I've said earlier, in calculating the volume of a prism, we may use the formula V is equal to area of the base times the height. And also, I also mentioned that a cylinder is a special type of prism wherein it has a circular base. So pwede rin nating tawagin ang cylinder na isang uri ng prism kasi magkamukha din yung kanyang bases. But the only difference is that walang dimension ang kanyang sides, ang kanyang mga lateral surfaces. Kaya siya ay special solid. So cylinder, how to calculate the volume? It has a height of 6 cm and the height of the radius would be 1/2 of the diameter, which is equal to 2 centimeters. Volume is equal to cross section times the height. So this is the cross section. How to find the area of the cross section, which is a circle? So the formula would be A equals pi r squared. That is the reason why it's very important that you let your students understand really how to solve for the area of the plane figures before moving on into calculating the volume of the solids. So A is equal to pi r squared. So by substitution, we'll have pi, which is 3.42 times the radius, which is 2. Squared, or 2 times 2, you multiply it twice to itself. So you'll have 3.14 times 2 times 2 is equal to 12.56, and that is our area. Meaning, for every layer that we will put in this cylinder, we will be having 12.56, and the height is equal to 6 centimeters, so we need to have 6 layers. To calculate the volume, we simply multiply our area, or the area of the base, times the height, or the cross-sectional area times the height, which is 6. And we'll be having a product of 75.36 cubic centimeters, which is the volume of our cylinder. And that is now the formula in solving for the volume of the cylinder. V is equal to pi r squared h. So the volume of a triangular prism. How do we solve for the volume of a triangular prism? So the only difference now is that the base is a triangle. So again, our cross-sectional area is a right triangle. So we solve for the area of the triangle, and that is A is equal to 1/2 of the base times the height. So that is 5 centimeters times 5 centimeters times 1/2, or 5 times 5 divided by 2, which is equal to 12.5 square centimeters. Then after that, we know that each cross-sectional area, or each layer, is composed of 12.5 square centimeters. So meron tayong 8 na layers kung ilalagay natin siya dyan. So we simply multiply the cross section, which is 12.5 square centimeters, by length, or by the height of this triangular prism, by 8. So you will have 12.5 by 8, which is equivalent to 100 cubic centimeters, which is the volume of the triangular prism. So always remember that in computing the volume of a prism, it is simply the area of the base times the height, or the cross-sectional area times the height. That is always like that. Okay, so the formula in solving for the volume of a triangular prism is 1/2 of the base times the height times the length. So what goes in the box 2? Calculate the volume of the shapes below. This is a cylinder. Number 2, this is a triangular prism. And number 3, this is triangular prism and another triangular prism. In this cylinder, we solve for the area of the circle first, and then multiply it by 14. So the answer is 2813.4 cubic centimeters. By the way, if you want to give a try, just post this video and solve for the volume of the other two prisms, or the other two solids. And if you want to check if your answer is correct, then just play. Number 2, so we solve for the area of this. 4 times 3 is 12, divided by 2 is equal to 6 by 5, that is 30 cubic meters. And then for here, we solve for the area of the triangle, so that's 6 centimeters. This is not a right triangle, by the way, so we need the height of the triangle. So 6 by 8 is equal to 48, times 12 is equal to 288 cubic centimeters. And that is how we solve the solid or the volume of the given solids. More complex shapes. Okay, so suppose that we have here a solid. As we can see, how many different solids we could have in this figure. If we put a perpendicular line here, we will be forming a rectangular prism at the left and a right triangular prism at the right. So we solve for the two. So calculate the cross-sectional area. So we start with the first area, which is a rectangle. So that is equal to 16 times 12. And then for the second one, we have, if this is 12, so this is equal to 8 times 16. Okay, so we have 12 times 16. Saan nanggaling si 12? Ito yun, ano? This is equal to 12 and this is equal to 16 to get the area of the rectangle plus the area of the triangle. So we have, this is 8 since the whole side is equal to 20, and if this is 12, 20 minus 12 is equal to 8. So this is 8 and the height is 16. So definitely that is 8 times 16 divided by 2 to get the area of the triangle. So simplifying this, we'll have 192 plus 64, which is 256. So that is the cross-sectional area. So how many layers we could have? We have 23. So we multiply 256 by 23. So the volume is 2,888 cubic meters. So it's very important in this type of problem that you have to analyze the figure, and even your students. If you want your students in the primary grade level to learn more about volume, you could give them manipulatives, some solids that they can hold for them to really understand how to solve for the volume. Example number 2. So in this case, para siyang oven, ano? So oven toaster or bahay ng ibon. So we have here a rectangular prism and 1/2 of the cylinder. So calculate the cross-sectional area. We have the rectangle and semicircle. So we add the area of that 2. So this is 12 times 10, since that's a triangle. And then this is 1/2 times pi times 6. So nanggaling si 6. 6 is the radius of this circle. Since this is 12, yung buo na yan ay 12. To get the radius, you divide it by 2. So you have 6 squared or 6 times 6. Simplifying it further, you will have 120 plus 56.52. So you add, the area now is equal to 176.52 cubic centimeters. And then calculate the volume by multiplying the area to 18. So you will have a volume of 3,177.36 cubic centimeters. And that is how we solve for the volume. What goes in the box? Number 3. Okay. Yan, ano? So if you want to solve on your own, pause this video. If you want to check, then continue. For number 1, we have 4,466 cubic meters. And then for number 2, that is 19,156.2 cubic centimeters. So volume of a cone. Let's have a cone, mga 4. So ayan. So as you can see, ang cone nagmula yan sa cylinder. The diameter of the top of the cone and the cylinder are equal. The height of the cone and the cylinder are also equal. Yan. How about their volume? Of course, magkaiba ang volume ng dalawa na yan. If you fill the cone with water and empty it into the cylinder, how many times would you have to fill the cone to completely fill the cylinder to the top? Ayan, pag daw nilagyan natin ito ng tubig at sinali natin dito sa cylinder, ilang beses daw kaya tayo magsasalin para mapuno ang cylinder na ito? Yan, so sinali natin 1, then 2, and then 3. Ibig sabihin, 3 beses ang laki ng cylinder na ito with the same diameter and height to this cone with the same diameter and height. So 3 times. Ano? This shows that the cylinder has 3 times the volume of a cone with the same height and radius. So the experiment on the previous slide allow us to work out the formula for the volume of a cone. Maganda to kapag meron na kayong mga estudyante, gawin nyo talaga siya ng aktwal. Meron kayong cylinder at saka cone na magkasinlaki ng diameter at magkasinlaki ng height. And then lagyan nyo ng tubig, salin nyo sa cylinder yung laman ng cone, and then para makita talaga ng mga bata na what you are explaining is really true. So volume of the cylinder is V equals pi r squared. So we have seen that the volume of a cylinder is 3 times more than of a cone with the same diameter and height. So the formula of the volume of a cone would be 1/3 of the volume of the cylinder, or 1/3 pi r squared height, where r is the radius and h is the height. So let us have an example. Suppose that we have here a cone with a radius of 6 meters and a height of 9 meters. So volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared. We know that. That is the formula. So by simply substituting our values, 1/3 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius, which is 6. That's 6 squared, so 6 times 6, times the height, which is 9. Simplifying it, you will have volume 339.12 cubic meters. Let us have another example. So in this case, the diameter is given. So we just have to get the radius. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So again, we rewrite the formula. And then we substitute the values. 1/3 times 3.14. Our R is 1/2 of 18, which is 9, times 9 times 13. Then you multiply, you will have 1,102.14 cubic meters. Okay, so let us have a summary of volume formula. So for the cuboids, we will have V is equal to length times breadth times height. For cylinder, we have V equals pi r squared h. Then for right triangular prism, we have V equals 1/2 base times the height times the length. And then for the cone, V is equal to 1/3 pi r squared h. So those are the different formulas that we could have, or that we have in solving for the volume of the solids. If you have any more questions, clarifications with regards to what we discussed in this unit, the first part of Unit 3, please feel free to message me in our group chat. Once again, thank you very much and God bless us all.